Hey, how's everybody doing tonight?
Hey,
Howdy.
I was
It's
gonna
so
say,
shouty anyway.
Happy
Saturday.
Boy, that's some 80s intro you got there, man.
Right?
That
I
is,
know.
that is
Give me
pretty good.
Just switch it up a little bit now and then, you know what I mean?
Makes me
Yeah.
feel young.
Yeah, it's got some good stuff back in the 80s.
Falco or something like that.
The 80s are supposedly coming back, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's relaxing, gets you right into the mood.
Oh, my goodness.
What's up, y'all? I see you
Yeah.
chiming in. We see you.
Yep, people are starting to load up here now, so we'll get a few people in here.
Yeah,
The
what's
hat
up?
is definitely getting attention,
The hat.
Yeah, it's all we hear about is the hat.
Oh, that's over here.
right?
Yeah, Sid's in the room all day without that hat.
The guy's out of control. Okay.
I know, right?
He's out of control. One of the guys in our office is like, can we just send him a hat? I'm like, no, because then basically you're just feeding into it. Then it'll be the next thing.
I know. He messaged me today. He's like, how much is it going to cost me to get a hat like that?
You give him a hat. You give him a hat. He'll want pants.
Yeah, exactly. What's next? The whole wardrobe. Yeah.
Pants.
Yeah.
The whole like velour tracksuit and everything in the gray and orange.
Yeah.
Hey, I had a velour tracksuit.
That's what I was saying.
Oh,
man.
no way. Seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, I got
Brooklyn
some
in the
people
house.
here now. So everyone, we have Terence here from Neptune Systems. Hopefully, you know, everyone will have all their questions ready. You guys can ask him. So we're doing just like, you know, talking hobbyists here and, you know, and learning and educating what it's all about. So thanks, Terence, for coming on the show. It's awesome that you
More than welcome. Glad to do it. And I see some of the same guys who come out to some of our streams, battle OCRs out there and others. Definitely, this is a new one for me with you guys, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we appreciate it down here. We know you're a really busy man, you know, this crazy weekend that's going on for all the Black Friday sales.
I actually have another stream right after this one. I'm going to start it hopefully at 5:30. Is it right? 5:30? No, 6:30 my time.
Yeah.
Or 7. I don't know. Depends on how long this takes and how I get my next one set up. But not one for planning way in advance. That's just not my thing.
Exactly. And before everybody gets on or gets off, I'm not trying to say, but Terence is going to be giving away that special hat that he's been talking about. So we ran a little contest in the club for my members. You guys left your comment in there. I wanted a hat. So I threw you guys into a generator. So at the end of the show, we'll be picking some winners. Plus, Terence is nice. We're going to have some Neptune accessories as well. So that's going to be pretty awesome. So make sure to stay to the end, guys, and we'll end up picking some viewers out to win. So if you guys have questions, we're going to do live here, taking the questions. We'll be dropping them on the screen. Terence, he can answer everything for you guys. So that is the plan tonight. Anything you want to say before we get going here?
And we always started the same way. Keep it friendly. We're all about sharing, no bashing, no swearing. Keep it nice. We're trying to learn, share the knowledge. We're all hobbyists. And we're here to have a good time.
Exactly. And that's what it's all about.
You know it.
Oh,
So I cannot stare at this beautiful tank behind me and not be like awed. Come on, like hobbyist to hobbyist. Now you controlling the heck out of that thing. Like when you leave home, you got to be looking at that tank. That's why we all invented control. Yeah,
well, I mean, there's some of that, but I really am the cobbler whose children have no shoes in many ways. I have the gear, and the gear is important for me because I am so neglectful, right? And I think everybody is a little bit neglectful, right? In the beginning, you're really on top of just about everything, and then life starts to come, and life doesn't just come on evenly. It's like you have these peaks and valleys of, you know, things that are going on. You have good times in your family. You got to go away on a vacation. You have a funeral for a week and everybody's down. And so you have all these things that are going on in life. And so, you know, by having something for many years, because I got back into the hobby, I was in the hobby in 1985 for a year and then left until 2008. And when I came back in 2008, my coming back into it, my mentor, Dave Anderson out of Utah, I said, I'll go get one of these aquariums because I want to get back into it, but you got to mentor me. Right. And so he said, well, just keep looking for one on the used on KSL and whatnot. And, you know, eventually you'll find something. I'll tell you if it's good or not. And then we'll go get it and we'll set it up in your place. And we did. The one that I got had a Reef Keeper 2 in it. This is in 2008. And I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. Right. I mean, I had no idea even that it existed because I was just entering the hobby. And it's like, oh, this thing is going to be able to tell me. Obviously, there's no on your phone or any of this stuff, but oh man, if my tank gets too hot, it's going to turn off my metal halides. How cool is that, right? I mean, that was the level of, it's going to take care of some things for me. And it didn't do that much, but at least it was something. And then I got the wind of the first Apex that was coming out. This is the following year in like 2009. And I was like, whoa, now you can really start doing some things and know things when you're away from home. And as things have progressed, and with this aquarium, it really does just help me not have to think about things. And really, I mean, a lot of people talk about alerts, and I do talk about alerts. I'm not a big person on alerts to be in, not because I don't think they're important. It's because for me, it doesn't suit me as well as I just check in on my tank all the time. So I'm on my phone all the time. I'm always opening up the app. I'm always looking at, oh, what's happening with this? What's happening with this? What's happening with this? What's happening with this? And real quickly, in like 20 seconds, I got a pulse on my tank. And that's, that's important for an advanced person, but it's super important, I think, when somebody's away from their tank and just wants to get rid of the anxiety of not knowing what's going on, right? And even if you had a camera on your tank, it's helpful, but those parameters, knowing what they are, you go on vacation in Hawaii, right? And you want to be having fun, but you don't know what's happening in the tank at home. And you open it up and you can just know, right? Without having to wait to get an alert. So, so for me, it's fully, set up with all the Neptune gear, and I've got safeguards and things that I have that do certain things for me. But some of it's automated, but a lot of things I manually control when I get information of what's happening in the tank, right? I manually change certain things that are going on in the tank. And that's kind of my method, of taking care of the tank. But I am pretty neglectful in, a lot of ways.
Really? It doesn't look like
things. Yeah, well, I tell you what. So one of the things I try to tell people, and whenever I give a talk, and even if it's on automation stuff or whatever it may be on, when I'm giving a, kind of a seminar or something, I always have a couple of slides in there that tell people to, keep your hands out of your aquarium.
Agree. Yeah.
And so I'm not futzing around in my aquarium much unless there's a major issue that has to be dealt with, and it has to be super major. And I give a lot of my success, to that kind of thinking. That if a frag falls down, sorry, frag, I might get around to you in 2 weeks. Okay, it's just the way it's going to be.
It'll just grow there.
It does. I mean, on the other side, I can show you guys some of the ones that are in the sand bed right now that are growing into like, melon-sized colonies. But it's kind of a philosophy that I have that overall, I think everything is going to be doing really well. With this philosophy, I may lose some things here and there. I may have some things that overtake. Like I have a pink acro here that's completely overtaken 2, maybe 3 other corals. I wish it didn't. Right? It's this coral right there.
Yeah.
It's all the way down in the front. It was planted in the back of the tank. It's now about 18 inches, maybe 20 inches front to back. And it's just kind of consumed other stuff. I love it. It's a pretty coral and everything, but I just wasn't going to go in and start hacking on it because it's starting to run into something else. Oh, well, I'll get to it sooner or later.
Yeah. So I definitely agree on that, because myself, like I have been adding, because my tank's pretty new, adding frags, but I definitely don't go in there if I don't have to. My hands stay out, way to roll. So like, there you go. That's a live shot right now. Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. The size of those colonies are amazing.
And those I hack up about every 3 months too. The ones on top, they get hacked out pretty hardcore. The big green slimer that you see there, this is only kind of like the center right section of the tank.
Yep.
And so that big green slimer that you see there, I've been trying to train it to take up the negative space. Actually, if you look at old pictures, or if you go out to our Facebook page, Neptune Systems Facebook page, the video at the top, you can see when some of these corals were a little bit smaller, and there was a lot more negative space right in the middle of this image, right in this space, right down in here. There was a ton of negative space down in there. And so what I wanted to do was grow that green coral, that green thing, and just start to make it kind of bonsai, like it's in the wind kind of thing.
Yep.
So it's actually, held down clear at the left side of it, and it's just grown to that side. So the base of it is clear to the left of that colony.
So what was your technique to try to make it, grow into that area?
Just pruning, right? So I just basically pruned the top, pruned the left, and just let it, just let it do its thing to go to the right, and just kept letting it grow to the right, almost like you're forming bonsai. Yeah. And eventually I'm going to cut it all out, but it's, it's been fun. Fresh. It's been a fun couple of years,
Yeah, you must have some happy friends to get some frags.
Well, I have Robert at Neptune Aquatics. He treats me well down up in San Jose, and he gives me things like the powder blue in here. He gave me about 2.5 years ago from was a customer's turn in, and so I knew it would live. Powder blues are so hard to get to live. But this guy's been in the tank over 2.5 years. He was already well conditioned, and he's the boss of the tank. He hasn't shown up for a little bit.
Yeah, he's a big one.
It's a big fish. It's a big fish.
And it's hard. It's hard when you have those old fish and you cannot think of adding a new fish because they become real pets.
Yes, absolutely. There he goes, right there. See him going by.
I tried to pull my yellow tang out, and the whole family yelled at me because I was just in there trying to catch him. Like, Dad, he's leave him alone, leave him alone. I felt like
leave him alone.
I see you have a file fish in there. No problems with him.
Oh no, that's I've had those over the years, quite a few of them, and I hear a lot of people say that they have problems, but I wonder whether or not it's just the kind of rumor in the zeitgeist more than it is reality. Because I've had, like I said, in a number of tanks, I've had them. They've been really good at keeping down pests and enemies and whatnot. Yeah. And I think if you're running one of those like ultra low nutrient tanks where you're putting food in with tweezers, then probably you might have some problems. But if you're dumping food into the tank like I do into this one, I don't think you're gonna have any issues, because he eats everything. He eats all the pellet food, he eats the frozen food, he eats everything. So everybody, they're going after their acans or whatever. He might go after acans, but my Heniocus got rid of all of my LPS. So when they came in, my supposed reef safe version of the Heniocus that I researched and everything else. They immediately went to town, and those guys right now. They're ginormous fish right now. They are literally as big as my hand. Yep. And they were probably the size of a 50-cent piece when I put them in. Wow. Again, you can see them on that video probably on the Facebook page. Yep. It's funny. One of the videos I did recently, a 4K video, I put it up on Pond 5. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's a place where you can put your images or your video or whatever and sell it. Ironically, did you guys see that testing device, the Spin Now or whatever it is, product that came out from, I can't remember who it is. But when the product came out, they had a launch video. And I started watching the launch video. Right. And I'm like, those mothers, they used my image. And then, because I didn't remember that I had put it up for sale, right? So for people to use it. Oh, okay. So the funny, ironic part is that somebody in the aquarium space used my video to sell their aquarium equipment of my tank. That's funny.
Holy smokes!
And I remember when I got the first sale on that video too, I was like, $30, yes.
Oh, there you go. At least you got paid.
So for sure.
All right, so we have a whole lot of questions that are rolling in.
All right.
Yes, we do. They're flying.
Go for it.
Well, there's one in particular that kind of keeps getting repeated, just reworded. People seem to be looking for an answer as to what the next iteration or expansion or whatever that Neptune Systems has in the works.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the most common question that we get. We more than ever now, especially since the Trident, we've basically clamped down on pretty much all information until a product is probably on the verge of being in a store. That's pretty much what we've done. As a general sense, in terms of the aquarium space, we'll be continuing to make products. This may sound corny, but our motto is less hassle, more success. And so in every major product category in the industry where we think that we can affect that and meet that kind of mission statement, we're going to do it. There's obviously rumors out there on different things. One of the things that people keep asking for, which while I won't talk about things that might be coming up, I will talk down certain things, not that they won't happen, but to try to explain the the reasoning why they're probably not as big a need as some people will think. Many times, not just in our industry, but in general with products, you can get out there in the zeitgeist people talking about, well, wouldn't it be great if we had this, right? It could be on a car, it could be a stereo, it could be whatever. Yeah. And then when it goes to hit reality, it just fizzles, even though there were so many people that wanted this thing. It's really so many people that want somebody else to buy that thing to tell them if it's any good. And then they'll decide whether or not they want to open up their wallet. And so the example that I want to give people is with the Trident. For many years we had looked at alkalinity monitoring type solutions to bring to bear, and for the longest time we couldn't meet what our standards were, which were bring something that's easy to use, right? It's just, you plug the stuff in and it works. It's ready to go. You don't have to mess around with stuff. It gives you the confidence that you need to get at the levels that you need to get the confidence for, so people aren't, always wondering, is it really, these are my numbers? Like I said, all in one, easy to use. All of these things were things that we decided we needed to do before we did the product, right? Before we actually went into what you now see as a product. And the last one was the price point, right? Had to be a price point at the time to do alkalinity only that couldn't exceed $500. Now the Trident is $600, but that's, we're doing, alkalinity, magnesium, calcium, right?
Yeah.
And so we kind of upped that a little bit in order to be able to do that, which required us to have more parts and whatnot in the product to do that. But so we look at those things in that way. So the one thing that people ask is like, okay, this question that you just have here, which is, can you get something to test the nitrate and the phosphate? Well, the first thing that I'll tell you is it's very difficult to do that and to do it well and to do it to meet those same kind of criteria that we had for the Trident, right? To make it really easy, to make it inexpensive, to make it all of these things. And I'll talk about even a little bit in a generic way some of the solutions that you might be hearing about that are even out there. But I question the need for that kind of testing by a large audience. In other words, the people who need to do alkalinity, right, calcium and magnesium, it's undeniable. Why? Because these are the building blocks of coral. These are the things that they go wrong very fast also, right?
Yes.
And they're absolutely critical that everybody does it. And there's a mitigation strategy that is accepted and well accepted in the reefing community for what to do with that information. In other words, if it's low on this, add this, and your tank is going to be good. So it has all of those components of why that becomes and has become, such a resounding success in the reef keeping world to have the Trident. Thousands and thousands and thousands of these things are out there now, is because of all of those things that I talked about. Now, when it comes to one that does nitrate and phosphate, there will be a number of people that will think that that's an awesome thing. And there's a number of people, high-end reef keepers, who do have some sort of a mitigation strategy of adding, stump grinding stuff or whatever these different things are to do something about it, right? Or turn on or off their phosphate reducing material, any number of these things. But they're not like a universal understanding of what needs to be done. And it is a way more advanced hobbyist kind of thing, which means the market is much, much smaller. Then on top of that, it's a very difficult thing to do with any kind of normal titration technology. It's just much more difficult, right? So you have seen two different kinds of products that are out there being talked about right now that, there's already one that you know about. It's like the ReefBot solution, which is, where you've got, it's automating a person, right? So obviously if you've got these reagents and test kits that all you're doing is replacing the human part of it. And that can work, okay? Yep. I don't think it's executing as well as it probably could in that particular product set. Not trying to bash anybody or anything else, but I think it's just very difficult to do. And again, go back to what I was saying about the Trident, right? Which is we wanted it to be easy. You plug it in, you turn it on, you go through something, and it kind of works, right? And that's not the case generally with things that have lots of moving, spinning parts, things that you have to add lots of different reagents to, and things that can go wrong. And there's another device that is, it's being prepped to come to market from the Mastertronic guys, and that might work. That might work. because I mean, the Alkatronic product is not a bad product. It's probably the only other product out there for doing alkalinity monitoring at this point that I think actually works and works reliably enough for people. You know, that it can make sense. It's, you know, it's a product choice for somebody to make. It's obviously I'm not advocating that particular product, but if anybody has a chance of getting that possibly to work, it would be them. But at the same time, it's a lot of moving parts. It's a lot of things to go wrong, and you're counting on the customer to get a lot of things right.
Yeah, and at the same time, you know, there is a margin of error. I know I've gone to a few talks, like Mike Paletta gives a talk about the margin of error. You have to go into calibration. What do you think is the time frame, or when you look at a product release, and testing is a big key when you put it up to equipment to test, we have to think about the margin of error. And is that something that, well, you have to take that under consideration, but do you recommend a certain period before people have to calibrate? Like, these tests are really important. How do you know when you're getting outside of the line of accuracy?
This is actually a very good point that you make, Dee, which is calibrating a product is super important in order to know that things are going well. And the human error, the devices generally are not the place where you get the biggest amount of this error. It's the human error side of things, whether it's in the manual testing or even using the automated testing devices. So the more that you can pull the human error out of it, right? This is where, you know, quite honestly, I think that the Trident excels over the Alkatronic, right? Because you've got to go in the Alkatronic and you got to calibrate the pH probe, and you do this and how many of that, and measure that and do this, right? And with the Trident, you just stick a tube in a bottle, put the numbers in, and it figures it all out for you, right? This is an issue with the now dead Mindstream product, right? Which is, I've got this big device. I'm just going to trust them that this thing's going to spin around. It's going to spit out a number. And it's going to be okay. But how do I calibrate this? Do I stick it in a, you know, and one thing that people don't realize too is reference solutions. Okay, I'm not talking about salinity reference solutions. I'm talking about real reference solutions. Not only that, they're super expensive. Okay, because they're very difficult to produce.
And they go bad.
We produce our and they go bad. And we produce our own reference solution in-house with multiple testing methodologies that we do, outsource testing methodologies inside. I mean, chemists, all kinds of different ways to get to the numbers that you see on the bottle for Trident. And we make the seawater. We use Julian's TLF, his salt, right, in-house. And there's a whole there's a whole methodology for doing that. And it's at some point I think we might be selling that solution to people who just want to use it for all kinds of other uses, right? Of the products that they have, or even their manual test kits or what have you. We haven't, met the production goals yet where we can do that, but I think it'll be quite popular if we do put that out on the market, because you may not know this, but a 10-liter thing of, I think it's a NIST certified seawater with the values all, certified for many different things. It's like $5,000.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, so like when you get your ICP, when you get your ICP, like if you know the ins and outs of ICP, of different guys' ICP, which I've investigated, the validity of their ICP results is very much on how often, right, they're running that solution into the system to basically recalibrate or double check the ICP system. You can imagine if it costs $5,000 for 10 liters, you're probably not encouraged to do that as often, right? As you might want to otherwise, because there's a cost factor involved.
Yeah, I had no idea. That's a
lot of money.
Yeah. So back to the original question: is there going to be a nitrate phosphate tester, that exists? I can't ever say no. I can tell you that as far as a priority for us, it's not that big of a priority. When you start to see some of these other devices or methodologies maybe someday come to fruition, because they've been kicked down the road quite a few times, you will also see many of the other downsides that that are not being discussed, which they still will work really well, but the downside parts of them are going to throw your average users for a loop, right? Like if it's an ion probe type solution from whomever, they wear out. They wear out faster depending on where your levels are, right? So if your levels are higher on this or lower on this, they can run out faster. You still need to have a calibration solution. So somebody might tell you that, oh, there's no reagents. Well, there's no reagents. You just still have to buy this other bottle of juice. Call it whatever you want to call it. It's something that you have to buy. So it remains to be seen how how all of these other technologies will work. I love the fact that people are pushing the technology forward. It's very difficult. The hobby's very small. The amount of return on investment is small. Anybody doing these things is not doing it because they're going to become Elon Musk. They're doing it because they've got passion.
I thought you would
and that includes all of us.
I thought you already became Elon Musk.
Yeah, right.
Imagine if he was in the hobby.
Yeah.
So now, have you had a catastrophe? You are the controller. You're the guy that we go to for the knowledge. Like, have you had like a mishap that made you sit back down at the table and say, oh man, I need to do this, or maybe I need to put this on packaging or something like that?
I have mishaps all the time that are mini mishaps, right? Yeah. I think that the number one thing to have products like we have is to keep away the ones that get you out of the hobby, right? So you're still going to have mini mishaps. That's part of the hobby, right? So and some of it's from complacency, right? You just go, oh yeah, I don't need to deal with that right now. I'll deal with it in 3 days, kind of a thing. And then all of a sudden it smacks you. I've got right back here. I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not. That right there where I'm pointing. Yep. That was a beautiful 14-inch across pearlberry acropora colony. Oh, and not 2 months ago, I had an alkalinity. I couldn't get my alkalinity going up, and I kept tossing, 2-part at it, and my calcium reactor, I didn't know, and I was just lazy, and it kept dropping. And then one day, all of a sudden, it just dropped like a hammer to like 6.5. Right.
Oh, really?
And then I did something stupid. The 6.5 isn't what was dumb, right? Then I was like, I was like, oh heck, what? Oh man, well I need to get that back up. And then I'm not a measurement guy either, because I got so much water. I'm like, yeah, about 3 glugs. That's about right.
Whoa,
and that took it up to about like 7.2. And I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I'm just going to turn on the doser.
Yeah.
And let it slowly come up, right? And I'm like, I'll turn that off in like 15 minutes, right? Yep. And of course, I sat down, turned on the Netflix, right? Didn't set an alarm or anything else, right? Yeah. And like I told you, every hour or two, right? I pull up my phone just to see how the tank's doing. Yeah. And I look at my thing. It's like the pH is like 8.8. I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like, and I go, and I see it's just like, and I'm like, oh. Yeah. And it went all the way up to like 9.8, right? 9.9 pKh.
Go big or go home.
Yeah. That's why I usually keep my tank around 8.2 to 8.5, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And so everything in the tank just got a little bit shocked, but the most sensitive corals, which are that one, which is a super sensitive coral, and my Walt Disney both just completely croaked. So I do have mini catastrophes, and like I said, I sometimes am the do as I say, not as I do, which is a natural kind of thing. But I do think that checking your phone all the time is just, it's really, really helpful to kind of get into that habit of knowing what you're looking at, knowing what normal is, not freaking out about weird, small number twitches, but just like, okay, this is where the world's supposed to exist.
Yeah.
And is the world existing there right now? Yeah. Everything's cool in the gang. Moving on.
Oh, I hear you. I'm obsessed with mine, and like I'm at work, my computer, I'm checking my tank, checking my elk. Because right now I'm running Kalkwasser and I'm running a calcium reactor at the same time. I'm watching my pH. Do I need to regulate anything? So it is definitely handy, and having everything set to let me know if something's cooking is definitely beneficial.
So other questions? I'm sure we got other questions.
Oh yeah, there's really coming up a lot here. People are talking about coding. So what have you guys done as far as like Fusion goes to make it simpler for those that are just now getting into the hobby that want to add control?
So
doing all the advanced coding stuff.
So first of all, the whole like, oh man, you don't want to use a product where all you got to do is code. That's a bunch of marketing BS that's being spread out there in the it's like total gaslighting. It really is. I'll show you something here in a second. I'll actually pull it up on the screen. But the situation is this: 80% of the most common things, 90% of the most common things that everybody's going to want to do are all done through tasks, right? Yeah. And starting out when you get an Apex, all of the outlets are already even pre-configured for you for all the major things. So, whether it's your skimmer, your return pump, your lighting, all of these things, they're already pre-configured. And then everything else more or less gets done through a task, whether it's an alarm, it's a power monitoring feature. It's any of these are all done through tasks to set it up. Now, where the difference is that when you, as a user, right, of anything, right, when you first get your stereo or you first get your TV or whatever, you can choose to just go and use the preset, right, for Vivid or game or whatever for the screen, or then you go, you know what, I want to tweak this a little bit more, and you go into the menu and there's like 2 sliders that you can tweak something, right?
Right.
And then after that, if you're like a really, really like geeked out person, you find out how to get into the service menu, right? And then you can do more stuff. And that's kind of how I look at the Apex is that you hop in, you can watch TV, you can select which mode you want, you can do these couple of things, but then you can move to the next step and do something a little bit more advanced. And then you never are held back from doing the most advanced things in the world that you want to do. And you have literally tens of thousands of people out there that are giving you recipes for some of the coolest stuff that you'd ever want to do. So part of the problem in this kind of thinking when people look out there is they go and they'll look at Dee's setup or Ryan's setup, and they want that now, right? That's so cool. I want to do that. How do I do that, right? Well, it's not that way because you've progressed to that over time, right? And so immediately somebody goes, oh yeah, well, I have to do everything, I got a program. It's a progression of what you do. You don't have to get there, but if you want to get to the super like coolest of cool things, the only way to do that in any product is to get into the service menu, right?
Yep.
It's kind of that way. So let me see if I can, I don't know if I can pull this up or if it's going to pull.
Well, it makes it nice, right? Out of the box, it works. And if you want to go a little step further,
right,
and create, and if you want to share with your friends different settings, it's possible to do it.
Right. Let me see if I can just put.
And I'll tell you, Terrence, I cherish the day. I've had that system for about 7 years now. The day that you made this interface versus the old one, I was literally dancing where you could just slide the buttons.
Yeah, so here's a tank. Actually, this is Tom's. Tom works for me in the New York area, and you guys are asking about the. I don't know if you can see that on the small screen that you guys have there or not, but
I blew you up. You're on the big screen.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So if you see this little icon right here, this little icon. Clicking in the wrong spot. I got to click over here. Sorry. This will actually show you the list of things that are tasks that you can just pre-configure, right? Yep. So if you wanted to set up your heater, there's no programming. You go into heater, right? And you just 6 steps. You choose where your heater's connected. We'll pick that one. Then you say, what do you want to name it? Okay. Then you say, okay, which temperature probe am I going to use? Then you say, what do I want the minimum and maximum temperatures to be? And then you're done. That's it. You just set up your heater. There's no programming. I mean, it's a joke to hear that it's programming. That's a way to sell another product. So what if you want to do power usage alarms, right?
Yep.
So these are super awesome ways to find out when a particular device is not behaving as you expect it to, right? Like you have a pump failure, a snail in a pump, or your skimmer venturi's clogged, right? So you can come in here, you pick which one it is. In this case, let's say I pick the heater.
Yep.
You get to say where you think the minimum and maximum are, and it will automatically pick these for you based on what it sees are the normal operating range, right?
Yep.
So, in terms of how many watts. And, once you do that, you put it in, now you're going to get an alert if it falls out of that range. And so if your return pump was to go off or your skimmer was to have a clogged venturi, any of those things. If you want to set up leak detection, there's a leak detection one for setting that up. If you want to do dose additive dosing, right? You set that up. Do you guys see any programming?
Yep.
There's no programming.
No.
You want to set up your core pump. Here's how you set up your core pump.
And like your water changing one too. Like I use the dose for water changes daily, and it's so simple. Yeah.
So the idea of programming really comes down to once you've set your things up and you want to have some really interesting things to do that are a little bit more complicated, you have the ability to do that. But all of the functions are built in with with wizards too, so you can come in and set up a wizard. It's the programming side of it is if you want to get into the service menu. That's pretty much that's pretty much it. And power monitoring. What's really interesting about power monitoring is other products that have ticked the box for power monitoring. They basically show you a number on an outlet for amps, and that's it. You're done. You can't do anything with it. You can't graph it. You can't have stuff come off and on because of it. You can't get the alerts because of it. This is what's really innovative in the Energy Bar 832 is this type of power monitoring function. Yeah. It really, really is a helpful way. It's one of the things I tell people too is, I'll go back to me now. So one of the things that I tell people with a controller is it's not about control. It's about, first and foremost, monitoring your aquarium, as I said, to make sure that you're not going to have a catastrophe. All the control stuff it's the fun icing on the top, right? Once you have a couple of lights turn off and on when you need to and do these other things, the basic things, turn your heater on and off at a certain time. After you got that set up, there's nothing else to do except the fun stuff, really. But the real thing that you want to do is monitor. You want to monitor and know when things are not going as you know that they're supposed to go, so you can do something about it.
And that's the real point in which the hobby really took a turn, because we've been doing these things for a long time. When little things like an alkalinity swing or a pH spike, I mean, the days before two-part, we used to play around with caulk washer a lot more, and there were a lot of complete meltdowns over overdosing. The fact that you can have that notification at whatever point it hits a certain number, I think has really revolutionized the hobby from whatever standpoint. Even the testing in itself has come a long way.
Yeah, it absolutely has. And we're continually updating too the interface to make things easier. Our setup routine in iOS changed about a year ago to make it so much better, and Android changed about 3 months ago to catch up with the iOS. Now both of our platforms share the same code base, so that they'll pretty much be simultaneous, and we're continually updating the UI functionality. There's lots of things coming in 2021, in the Apex, in the way that things are going to run in the Apex.
I definitely like the new look to Fusion. One of my friends is huge into Apex. I mean, he does all of the programming for another company, and they run all the Apex stuff. He's got it at home, and it's just has everything automated. I mean, he does some really cool stuff with it. I look at it and I go, oh my God, okay, that's super intimidating. I mean, I've owned 3 Apexes now, and I've never plugged in a single one of them. I've always traded them off or sold them. It's just, it's always been intimidating to me. But, and looking at this, it looks a little bit.
If you run the install and you see how the install works today, I mean, first of all, watch a live stream that Paul and I did about 3 months ago too. We actually did it live, okay? We did the install live, which is like, if you want to know in a tech product, to doing a live demo, live, okay, is scary as heck, right? I mean, it's super scary. And I got to tell you right now, I was super scared going into it, and I was assured over and over, it's all going to work, it's all going to work. And I was just like, yeah, Murphy's here somewhere. But it did. And when you see, it took us 15 minutes and we were already set up on the, on the network. We had all your lights configured, your skimmer configured, your pump configured, everything out of the box, ready to go. Your heater was already configured. Why? Because the outlets are already pre-configured. So
it's come a long way. It is a long way.
It is. I get that it's an interesting marketing thing to say how difficult it is, and to ride that wave from the Neptune circa 2009 or even 2012. But that's not the apex of 2020. I can assure you. It's a whole different world from the setup all the way through to getting your gear set up, and then on to what you can do. The capabilities are just amazing. And yeah, we've got new products coming out too. So
I always ask me if you guys are going to be doing the the Wi-Fi webcam in the tank. You guys did start that. at one time.
Well, there's an interesting thing, right? So Ryan,
Yeah,
you have
did the interface a long time ago with the camera and everything.
right. Well, there's a whole technical challenge here. I don't know if you guys want me to nerd out on this or not, but
Nerd out.
We're all nerds.
Yeah.
So,
Fish.
have any of you guys seen what has come along so far in terms of aquarium specific camera technology? Okay, so there's two that I know of. Okay, and they're both underwhelming. Okay, and there's a reason that they're kind of underwhelming is the technology to do it is difficult, and it requires. So when you get like a Wise camera, right? They use software and methodologies to basically relay. Instead of relaying the whole stream through, they basically are connecting your phone directly to that camera through like a tunnel, let's just say, right? So you have like a direct connection to your camera, even though you don't think it is. It's not really going through a server, right, to record that. When you use a recording service, you have to pay for it, right? Because it is relaying up to a server and using bandwidth, right? And same thing with Nest, right? So the Nest actually works pretty smoothly with the Apex because it's using an intermediary server, right? As opposed to a point-to-point solution. All your other cameras pretty much use a point-to-point solution. It's why you can't see them in a browser, right? It's why you can't pull up your Wise camera in a browser, right? And so because of that, they can't be made available into the Apex user, interface so easily. There are things that we're always looking at and trying to work on. But in order to do it, then you have issues with bandwidth if you're going to then use an intermediary server. And so the companies that have tried this, if they've used the intermediary server, it's usually not a good quality one. They're turning down the bandwidth, right? So you get a lower quality image, you get frame rate issues, you get all of these things that come up, and you don't get what's a great product. Now, one of the things I have done is I've been trying to contact myself, into the wise guys, that's funny, into the wise people, and try to get the community to do so, because I think that that's a great product. It's hard to beat a $25 product, right? If it can integrate into others. The dilemma is what part of their technology belongs to them and what part of it they're actually leasing, under license, right? To do some of the things that they're doing. So we'll see where that goes in particular. Until now, you can use things like the drop cam, Nest Cam, I guess, now with some tricks that you can find out on the forums. There are some tricks to doing it. Mine shows it.
Is it that they required their own IP? I remember when you first launched that feature in the Fusion, there was a I had to go back to the company and find out what their IP was, marry it to my PC, then port it into the Apex. It got so crazy that when I switched the camera, it didn't work anymore.
That's right. That's why we have the ability to do what we have, which is to do that, right? Which is you can tunnel to your own camera, you can use an MJPEG or another type of camera and bring it into the interface. The numbers of those that are available now that can even do that are slim, because most of them are using the Wise methodology for transferring stuff, right? Most of them are doing this way, and there isn't a real desire to want to make those streams available outside of their world, right? They don't have a big financial interest of wanting to do that, as well as the security issues that come along with it as well.
True.
So I don't know where it's going to lead to, but it's super challenging. And ultimately, are you going to want to pay $200 for a fish cam that doesn't give you as good an image as your $25 Wise cam? You're not going to be a happy customer.
Yeah.
Ryan, how do you like the one that you have from the Felix?
It's been working pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it so far.
Outside the home?
Outside the home, yeah, it works pretty good.
As good as a Wise cam?
I don't have a Wise cam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
I have
real
three
camera that I've used on my aquarium, to be honest with you.
Right.
Yeah, I just added 360-degree network cams just because I have multiple systems, and why control one but you can't see the other.
Right.
Like even when I see you guys, if I go to Macna, I can get a reading of a problem in the tank, but if I can't see it,
right,
then it was like, what am I going to do? So I was trying to, we're right now working with Ryan. I was trying to get everything built into the smart home, since everything is smart and everything talks to each other. If this happens, I get an alert from the Apex. I can turn the camera and actually zoom in on my sump and see, okay, this overflowed, and I can hit a button and then switch this off and switch the other thing on.
Right.
Whereas we're relying on the programming or the infrared sensors to do it for us. Sometimes that just doesn't work out.
Right. Yeah. You know, the camera thing, I think, is going to go through still a number of iterations generally for the home. It's still very new. It doesn't have the kind of security it needs to. The HomeKit video security is the latest thing. Very few cameras have this. There's been a camera that just got kind of approved, and it's going to be in the Apple Store very soon. That's a HomeKit video approved, I think it's called, or what have you, which means it's, you know, end-to-end encrypted and uses the Apple Cloud and all of that. And I think that there's a number of these that everything's going to have to coalesce somewhere. They're going to all have to come together somewhere where they have the confidence, right?
Yeah, we're going there. I mean, there's not much else we haven't touched with automation. I mean, is there anything that you wouldn't automate on your tank? Like,
yeah, that's what I was just going to ask that.
That's a really good question. It's the biggest thing I have a fear of is things that kill your tank very quickly, right? Because if you mess up the way that you've configured them, right? You know, even with the easiest menu with any product, right, to set it up, but you've just got, you know, you're supposed to pick left when you pick right or whatever, you know, it was, and then you go, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, what's going on? So Kalkwasser scares the hell out of me. I don't like Kalkwasser. I think
you're scaring Ryan now. I've been telling him that for 2 weeks.
I'm not scared.
I'm putting a whammy on you.
Yeah, I mean, Kalkwasser, where the total volume of whatever I have in my Kalkwasser bin can go into my tank and raise my pH by like 0.3, I'm like, okay, fine, that's fine, right? If I were to set it up that way, I might pull away some of the, you know, the concerns that I have, but it's definitely one of the things that I'm not big on.
Well, that's why I'm worried about dosing. I'm still old school where I program myself to manually dose. I mean, I just replaced probes, realizing that I had been making decisions based on a probe that I had 7 years. The probe was off. I had to change the probe. So
yeah, 7 years. Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, I put it up earlier. How many people even calibrate their probes in the last year?
Yeah.
Right.
I do mine monthly.
I mean, again, it's really dependent on what you're using it for, right? If you're looking at your tank and your tank is doing well and you have some drift over 6 months on your pH probe where you're 0.1 or 0.2, different than where it normal used to be, you really don't care that much. On the other hand, if you're running it in a calcium reactor and you want your melt rate to be right and consistent, then every 3 months you kind of should be doing it. You should be using a double junction probe as well. You should be replacing the double junction probe in the calcium reactor maybe in 2.5, 3 years at the outside, right? These are the things that you should do. So different things require different, attention to it. As far as dosing your tank, again, taking a look at how much you put into a reservoir, what are the safeties that you have if you're dosing, carbonate, into the tank, then, do you have a pH, sealing thing that shuts the whole thing off? And by shuts the whole thing off, if you're really uncomfortable and you've got the dose, plug the dose into an outlet, right? A controlled outlet, and shut the whole thing off completely, right?
That's what I'm doing.
Not just programmatically.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing with my Kalkwasser. I have everything set through my pH probes, and it gets to the point, it just shuts off the dosing pump altogether.
Well, that's depending on what you're dosing. Let's say people are dosing bicarbonate, which won't raise your pH, but it'll spike the hell out of your alkalinity.
Yeah, like I'm dosing calc. I'm not letting it just continuously running. I'm dosing a certain mil a day.
Right, and some people, I have to give a shout out to my buddy Brad Seifus here from Utah. He just came up and said, Brad and I go way back. And he says, all my top-off water runs through the Kalkwasser reactor, been doing it for years. Yeah, I don't see an issue with that methodology. Yeah. I'm talking about super saturated Kalkwasser that people are dosing into their tank.
Yeah. I'm a couple tablespoons a week in mine, the most.
I mean, if you know that I mean, I guess if you had a leak out of your tank and your auto top off just started running like crazy to backfill that leak through the kalkwasser, then you could have a problem.
Yeah.
But that's way out there on the edge.
Yeah, that's why I run mine runs right from the reservoir through the doser.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I've thought about it, running it here, running a big tote full of kalkwasser and everything, and I just like, I don't know. I don't think so.
Like I still run my
Straight.
it's right down to like the minimum melting point possible.
I wake up, come out here, and see a white tank. It would just
yeah, right.
It would just destroy me.
Been there, done that.
So
I watch my tank very closely. I'm pretty obsessed with my tank like daily. So
that was actually what made me buy the Apex 100 years ago. It was like, no, I mean, not for nothing. Like you said originally, people want immediate results, but there's a certain discipline to this hobby that really doesn't come across until something goes wrong, and that's testing. Like we want the immediate result, but you don't want to test every day. I mean, now we have the equipment to test without us thinking about it. Thank God.
Yeah,
for sure. Other questions out there, Beavs?
All right, so we've got through most of these, but I do have a question actually. So with kind of briefly covering over fusion and everything, is there anything in particular about the programming or user friendliness or whatnot that you'd like to kind of show off?
Well, like I said, I just gave you an example, for instance, of so setting things up is where most people think that it's really hard to get going, really hard to get started. The method, let's get back to Apex demo here. Let's pick another tank. Oh, there you can see my camera that's actually running there. That's a Wise Cam. It's just sitting on my counter here, I guess. It's not really on the tank right now. Let's go pick. See, you could see all the people's reefs that I got in here. You want to see Mila's tank? There's Mila's tank. I shouldn't do that. But let's go look at my pool. How about that? Okay. Let's see. So, back again, the tasks functionality in the product is what is one of the easiest things possible to set your different devices up on the product, whether it's a feeder, and we were talking about yesterday, a feeder that we have a special on right now to give you the free food. All of that's right there. The dashboard is obviously super simple to move things around however you want to move something around in the dashboard to suit yourself. If you have it on mobile, it'll automatically resize itself to however much size you have. The graphing functionality on the product is just amazing. That's actually the pH in the pool. You can go against the temperature in the pool. So you can just do so much with it. The power monitoring I don't have on this particular one, but the power monitor, because this is actually, believe it or not, this is got an EV8 on it. This is out on my swimming pool. But let's go to another one here.
All right, so real quick, go back to that last screen there, because I noticed something that really threw me over. So all of
hang on. Let me go back.
So, well, like back on the last page, right there. So get onto Fusion like pretty much every single day, I would forget what those are. So is there any way to turn those to labels instead of having the symbols?
What are you talking about specifically?
You can change the name.
Just to the left of your mouse cursor, you've got that of tabs there.
So these, right?
Yes.
These things, when you cursor over them, right, it tells you exactly what they are, okay? And if whose phone is that?
Sorry, it's mine.
Producer.
Yeah, it's like, wow. The thing is that it does show you, when you go over them, like that's tasks and, the next one and what they happen to be. But the thing is that what you're going to do mostly anyway is work from the dashboard, right? Okay. So if you wanted to change your skimmer setup, right, that's here, you'd hit the gear and you'd set up exactly how you want to configure the skimmer. There's no programming involved whatsoever. You basically say, when I lose communication, I want the skimmer to be off. Yeah. I want it to connect with my feed timer A. I want it to defer 5 minutes when the when the return pump comes on, that's it, right? You go right from the dashboard. You can configure any of these. If you want to look at looking at the graphs, you can just click on whichever one you want, or you can click on the gear and actually set up your alarms, either with a basic alarm or a more advanced alarm, all basically right from the dashboard. So everything for the most part can happen right here from the dashboard. You don't have to dig into anything deep. Does that answer your question?
Yes, very much.
I mean, like, here I can rename the outlet. It tells you exactly which outlet it happens to be on which device.
Yep.
If you really want to geek out, it's not my favorite thing because it scares the hell out of people. You can hit the gear and you can go to this little graph and it'll show you kind of visually, how everything is connected.
I did that one day. It scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, me too. I don't usually like showing that off.
Screen?
I don't. I think that's really something that support uses and kind of geeks out on, but it's not something the average guy should actually. Everything happens right here, and when you drop into your Apex right from brand new, this is exactly how you see it, right? Yep. It just comes in. It's all pre-configured. All of these outlets are all pre-configured, right? I'm not even using these right now. Like I said, this happens to be the one on my pool, all the outlets are already pre-configured. It's super easy to get going. I mean, all I can say, Beav, is you should just give it a shot from like get-go, fire it off on the phone, and watch how fast you have everything going. Now, if you want to get to the massive, like complete 5 energy bars, everything, and this does this when this does that, and that's something you evolve into.
Okay. So here's a question. Since, as we all know, I can't say all, but the vast majority of hobbyists are really concerned about not only functionality, but price point. What is it that sets the Apex differently as far as like a value for the money goes? I mean, when you compare
I'm glad you actually mentioned that, because that's a really good segue. What's really interesting with the Apex is the Apex actually has, there are 2 models of the Apex, right? So there's an entry-level model called the EL is for entry-level, and then there's the Apex itself. And there's a really weird misconception out there that to get into the Apex is incredibly expensive. And it's not. The Apex EL is $500. Mm-hmm. That gives you your temperature, your pH. It gives you your 8 controlled outlets, but they're not just controlled, they're all monitored. So you basically can monitor all the devices on those. You also get 3 one-link connections, which connect up to future, Apex or Neptune gear, right? Whether it be a wave pump or the Trident or what have you. So you can actually, ironically, lose the power bricks. So you don't have to have a whole lot of power bricks around. It's got 2 DC 24 connections on it for using for things like solenoid valves or like a PMUP pump that I have over here. Right, so those basically can be controlled off of it, and it's $500, right? So when I think about that, I would go, how much is an XR15, right? It's a little light, and it's $400 and change, okay? And all it does is cast a little light on a tank, right? And how much is a single Radion XR30? Is like 800 and change, right? So when you think about that, this is the lifeblood of what's going on in your aquarium, and you can get into it at that rate, it seems to be a no-brainer. Now, right now, obviously, I'll bring it up. We're in orange and gray days, right? So it's 10% off. So it's $450 for an Apex EL. If that's a bridge too far for all the value that you get there, I mean, with the energy bar and everything else, I don't know what to tell you, because it's
yes, sir.
You're spending. I mean,
Bulk Reef has it $449 right now. You people want it, you better run now.
Well,
orange and gray.
And $720 for the full Apex, right? And they do fly off the shelf during orange and gray days. That's for sure. And so the whole idea that it's like, oh yeah, this is the Apex product or the other guy's product is just so expensive. We're gonna get here's something that's cheap. Look, as I told you earlier, it's you can have cheap, fast, and great. Pick 2, right? So it's you get the Apex EL. Here's another thing I thought it's really interesting. I talked about it the other day with Paul on our live stream. Is there's I remember all of the negative talk around. Well, the Trident is not standalone. It's not standalone. You know, it's like, well, yeah, it's not standalone. It does calcium, magnesium, and alkalinity. It costs $600. Okay, and you can buy an Apex EL for $500. So you're $1,100 into something that does all of those things compared to spending $900 on something that tests your alkalinity. And so it you know, I was like, why do you think that that's a problem that it's not standalone? And then right now, obviously during Orange and Gray days, it's $1,000 for both of those, right? So it's, you know, it's $450 plus $550 or $540 for the Trident. So you're under $1,000, and you've got all of that monitoring and everything. So I don't want it to be a commercial, but you did raise that question about cost, and you know, I think for 9 and change compared to an XR30 at 8 and change, the amount of value you're getting out of a Trident and an Apex EL,
Well, yeah, but
the Orange and Gray days are for everything through Apex, Neptune.
Everything from Neptune Systems through Cyber Monday, the 30th.
Yeah, I just pulled up Bulk Reef Supply. You can see everything that was on sale.
Go ahead, Beavs. You had a follow up?
My question was more like, what's included there, or what makes it stand out that makes it different? Because I mean, you can go buy an eCoral Pro for $799. You're right there, and it's got basically the same stuff there. You can get a Felix controller. You know, you've got the Smart Pro at $799. You're getting the Senai and the camera and everything that's coming with it. You can get into a Control 4 for the $450. Or
you want to get into a whole compare and contrast? I can absolutely do that. So the first thing to note is the energy bar on our product is a certified, you know, to UL standard for aquarium use, by the way. Okay, which I'm not going to get into the weeds of this, but if you go look at the UL standards, we're, I think, probably one of the only, if not the only one in the category for aquarium use, as opposed to what they call a remote power tap, right? A remote power tap is something that's supposed to be temporary, right? You're not supposed to mount it to a wall and utilize it, or have it near water, you know, or environments. The power monitoring feature and those ones I just spoke about, they don't exist on the other products. They don't exist, period. They don't give you alerts on those things. They do not have that available in a single unit, single 8 outlet unit or 6 outlet unit. They don't have that kind of functionality built into them. You know, I would say the number one thing that you get though, when you, you know, when you buy into an Apex, is you get tens of thousands of other people who are just like you, and who are there along with a support team that is many persons involved. We've got I think we're up to 5 or 6 people on our support team now. So you have all of the benefits of that, and somebody who's doing it 25 years, you know, to go along with it. And it's that makes a huge difference. I mean, there's other small little things, right? Like, okay, how is the pH probe? We use a double junction pH probe. That's a super high quality pH probe. They're not all created equal, okay? Just because you have a pH probe. You know, there's other small things. There's the expandability. There's the universe of products that you can, you know, that can get to go along with it, that basically integrate and are better. Some of the parts, right? It's way better than some of the parts. So all of those things together are, you know, what I think makes the best choice out there in the industry for you to monitor your aquarium and to have this kind of a situation, right? You know, absolutely. And dollar for dollar, you don't see anybody else doing anything cheaper, right? I mean, really, dollar for dollar. You say the eCoral, how many outlets does it have?
I think it's
6. So there you go. So dollar for dollar, it's about the same cost, less outlets. Maybe it's got one other, this little thing or that little thing, and nobody uses it, right? So, so you have that situation. The Felix situation is, great. You can go buy a Senai that's made black and, you know, and has been around forever and still hasn't picked up steam. You have to pay $10 a month to get the thing. It kind of gives you decent results. You better not forget to put the slide back in. I mean, look, you asked the question. These are, you know, these are what consumers, you know, take a look at.
Exactly. That's why I asked that question.
Yeah. I mean, when there's a product that's good, right? Yeah. I'll be the person to say that it's good. So I can tell you that when I do talks on this stuff, the only other product I even mention when I do a monitoring control talk is the GHL product line. That's the only other one, right? because it's the only one that's been proven for this, for tons of years.
Couple of years now.
Yeah. I think that you'll find that the software is not as fine-tuned, right, as our stuff. The hardware is solid on the product, and they're a company that's been around for a long time. So I'll mention things like that when I see products like that. I mentioned earlier the Alcatronic product and Jonas, and I think Jonas is a good guy, and they're trying to do something, and more power to them. Yeah, exactly. But as far as we've seen a lot of products come and go in the controller space. We've seen a lot of people who have put their money into something only to have it go away in a year or two, right? From the guys in Florida, what's his name? PureTech. There's a guy in Florida that had his PureTech down there. There's the eCoral thing, which really didn't take off. You've got the Mindstream guys with that. You've got the FishBit guys that did their thing. You've got, on and on and on, because it's difficult to do, right? And to do and provide value at a price point, right? You can't get the kind of things that we have in the Apex EL package and get them to a consumer and get them into the sales channel, right? Because you have to understand that everybody's going to take a little bite, right? So, if you're paying $450 for the Apex EL today, right? Well, there's a good chunk of that also goes to bulk reef supply before we get our part, and we have to pay for building it, supporting it, and everything else. And so when you start to break all of that down, when somebody goes, well, I could DIY that with a Raspberry Pi in my garage for $125. Well, that's great. Well, you're not selling it in the mass market either. So yes, I understand that.
That was actually the smart ass question that I was going to ask about pricing.
What's that?
That was actually the smart ass question that I was going to ask about pricing.
Because of how cheap it is to put a Raspberry Pi together with a controlled outlet of whatever. Yeah, absolutely. I can build a go-kart in my garage too.
You might burn your house down though.
Yeah, you got to trust in looking after your thousands of dollars worth of stuff you have in your.
I mean, I can buy a kit out of China to build a car in my garage, and and maybe get it licensed and drive it around the street too.
Yeah, it's gonna last you a month.
It's just difficult, and it's difficult to continue to provide a lot of value to customers, software value, support, all of these things.
Support's a big one. Support, having that customer support.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We're creeping up also on 10,000 people in our Facebook user group, and there's no bogus people in there. This is like the real deal. If you go look and see how much traffic is in that group, it's pretty amazing. It's really cool. I'm really happy about it.
Well, it's nice, and it has that community. Everybody's helping each other as well, right?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, so we are running a little short on time. Terrence,
yes.
Absolutely love to have you come back on once we kind of.
Let me make a couple of announcements, okay? Before you cut me off. So
I'm not going to cut you off. I was going to say let's draw and kind of figure that out. Wait for some more questions to come in, and then we'll kind of wrap it up.
Perfect.
So give you plenty of time. We're just going to cut you off.
So so I just wanted to say though that we are at the Orange and Gray Days, and we've already put a really extreme discount. The Core 20 pump is at $299.95, so that's still available all the way through Cyber Monday until they run out of stock. So if you actually want to get that pump, Beavs, there you go, man. And then yesterday we announced that today we started providing the AFS out there with free CD3, a full package of the CD3 crossover diet, a 3-ounce crossover diet. Oops, that way, with the package and the AFS. So it comes bundled together at all of the retailers, local fish stores, and online.
I got one. I'm going to be hooking up in my tank.
Awesome. That's awesome. And it does come with a sample inside of that, but for the Orange and Gray Days, we made it so that all the stores could provide it with a full package of the food. Today's, which is I'll be announcing in the next live stream I'm going to do minutes after this, or probably now because I'm running up. It's fine, guys. Don't worry. I'll run it probably at 7 o'clock. Is all accessories for the FMM or those kinds of ports. Okay, so the FMM is a fluid monitoring module. Okay, so here it is. Nice. This is like a multi-purpose module that you can plug all kinds of different sensors and devices into. It has 4 sensor inputs on it. It's got one switch 24-volt outlet on it that you can put a power supply on there and then switch that off and on. It comes as part of our leak detection kit. It comes as part of our automatic top-off kit. Both of those have 2 free ports on it, right, where you can plug in these other accessories. It also comes in our flow monitoring kit. And so many people have these that they bought as kits, and they have a couple of free ports. So starting tomorrow, you'll be able to get all FMM accessories, things that can plug into an FMM, which means they also can plug into, like the DC24 can plug into your Energy Bar 832 as well. Yep. They're all 15% off. So it's a little bit extra percentage off for all of those things. So you can get a PMUP, okay, which is it goes up 12 to 14 feet, I think, as an ATO pump. It's a really cool pump, easy to clean, plugs right into the DC24 connection. You can get that 15% off. You can get our solenoid valve 15% off. You can get our optical sensors, our leak detection probes. All of those things are all 15% off. Flow monitoring, right? So we've got the flow monitoring. There's a 1-inch flow monitor. It comes with, you know, the unions comes with it. It's a really good price, by the way. You can see it out there. All of those things that can plug into an FMM are all 15% off. So in light of that, we'll give away a couple of those here for your stream, guys, for having me on. I appreciate it. Let's do this. We'll package 2 things together. How's that sound?
Sure.
So we'll give away a PMUP and a magnetic optical sensor as one giveaway. And we will give away a solenoid valve and a 1-inch flow sensor as another combined package. Okay, so you decide who they're going to go to. One of them is a PMUP and an optical sensor kit, and the other is a flow sensor, 1-inch flow sensor with the fittings, and a solenoid valve.
Oh, okay, perfect. Hey, Dee, do you want to grab some of those names out of there, buddy? I think he's on the move.
And then with a big prize, you'll do last, which is
the hat.
The hat.
You have.
Hey, Dee, can you hear me, buddy? You getting some names in there?
Yeah, you have the wheel running from earlier still, right?
I have that one already. I got everybody's name in there for the hat. Yeah.
While he's doing that, one of the interesting things of why the hat is so popular is because we don't give out very many. It's been we have 2 colors of the hat, and it's been 6 years I've been giving them out. I think we might have done 150, and no more than 200 for sure in that time. Yeah. And we go to an event, we give out 1 or 2 hats, you know, at a trade show, basically. I mean, we rarely give these out. So that's why scarcity. People like something that not everybody can have.
Hey, D, this is what I'm thinking. Everybody that did enter in the contest in the club, this is for the club anybody. Why don't we just use everybody that's on the wheel? We'll just do it. We'll pull everybody off that wheel. So there's random chances somebody might win.
Just spin it.
Okay, let's just do that. Let me screen. I'm going to share here. You guys can see that now?
Ooh,
yes.
Small list.
It was everybody that entered into the contest in the club. I'm going to use it for the contest members because, they're always there. So what's the first prize we're doing there, Terence?
So we've got the optical sensor and the PMUP, which is the practical multi-purpose utility pump. There you go. It's pump spelled backwards. So.
Here we go. First winner for the first prize.
Sydney, you better keep your fingers crossed.
Did that thing even spin? It looked like it moved one thing.
Yeah, it spin.
Matthew Normand, huh?
Yep.
All right, Matthew Normand. That's what you're getting, man. You're getting these 2 items right here. Make sure you write that down because I will forget, Ryan, okay?
Yep, no problem, no problem.
I will forget. It won't be these 2. It'll come out of our warehouse.
Sounds good.
And then the next one is for the 1-inch flow sensor and a solenoid valve.
Here we go. There you go, Phil.
Phil Brisson.
Nice, Phil. Congratulations.
Phil Brisson, you're the winner of that. And then, the hat, man. Are you going to spin for the hat?
Here we go for the hat, guys.
There you
Hey, you
go.
better. I could hear Battle crying from here.
He's not on the. He's not on the spinner.
No, he is.
Oh, he is. Okay.
One.
Jonathan Martin. It looks like
Hey,
Jonathan Martin. We'll have
Sorry,
a hat
Zach.
for you.
I send you a do-rag from New York, Battle. I'll write Battle on it.
Yeah, they're gonna complain. I know that for sure. We'll be hearing that. So yeah. So I hope this was good for you guys. I'll come back another time, and I'll take on any of the questions that you guys want to throw out there. And
Great
I hope that
exchange.
it gave some info for people.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you clarified a lot. I appreciate your time that you took.
Yeah.
I especially appreciate the tank and the
tank.
application of such science.
One last look, huh?
Yeah. Look at that, guys.
There it is live.
Actually, Candle's Reef asked kind of a funny question. Is there any plans for you guys in the future to release a Neptune-specific calcium reactor?
Again, as I said, take a look at what products are the most used products, the most helpful products that you have on a reef aquarium, and then intersect that with, could Neptune systems make it less hassle for people and make them more successful? And those are the products that we're going to do.
Yes.
And probably in the order that we're going to do them. So
I'm happy with a Neptune Polo. I keep getting my arms wet, putting my hands in the tank.
yeah, well, these don't go out to anybody, but I will tell you, we probably will sell one at the Toys for Kids thing on Reef to Reef. We did last year. We do a whole big thing for the kids, and I think we raised about $2,500 or $2,000 last year, and we matched it as a company for them. And one of the things that we did was we had since these don't go out to anybody outside the company really. We did have one set of stuff, swag with some classes and some things along with one of these shirts, and I think it went for $500.
Whoa, really?
When is that event so we can try to help the kids out?
Check Reef to Reef. I don't know the exact date that they're doing it, but we will be doing a live stream around that time.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So wherever they're doing that thing, we'll probably do something, as well, right around that time in December.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, all of the help to help the kids out. It's awesome. We generally participate in these kind of things pretty strongly. We participated in Felix's thing for St. Jude Children's Hospital. When he was doing all of those, we participated pretty big in those as well. Yep. If it's a big kind of charity thing, we're game.
All about giving back.
Yep, absolutely, 100%.
St. Jude's that's a good one.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's my favorite personal charity.
Yeah,
so it's
I remember
easy for us.
The one Reefapalooza he had there at his tank, and you would donate money to win that tank. And I remember donating to it. It was a great cause, and his kids were there that day. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we'll wrap this up. Thanks so much, Terence, for coming on the show. It was great. Briefing and
I got one quick question for him.
Oh,
okay. One question.
Good question. Okay. So the one thing that I'm known for is I ask the hard questions, right? I do those,
No, you don't.
So here's kind of the question. I'm gonna try to word this as eloquently as possible. Okay, so a few weeks ago there was a whole lot of fire that just went out everywhere. Everybody saw bits and pieces here and there. I mean, Reef Builders went so far as to put an article out and everything, just saying that there was pressure coming from Neptune Systems with retailers saying, if you carry the Hydros line, we're not gonna send our product to you. Trying to just make Neptune Systems look out to be kind of bad there. I mean, we like to give everybody a platform here and everything. So, I mean, is there anything?
I think the best way to look at that without answering it directly is consider those involved, consider who has something to gain in the whole situation, in terms of who's selling what and all of those things. And put with that, on top of that, the others who were quoted in that article and what they have said subsequently and what they've gone on and discussed subsequently. And yet the article still has not changed. So I think you should just take a look at that, take that for what it's worth. I mean, I'm not going to even, I'm not even going to give it the credibility. Let's put it to you that way, because everything that you can see there is pretty much been said, and the reasons why certain things happen.
Oh no, I've seen both sides. It's just one of those things. I mean, I just wanted to give you the opportunity to, share your guys' side there or whatnot, or if you had a comment on it, I
think the best information you can get is watch Ryan's live stream. Go and read comments from Ken from saltwateraquarium.com, and send an email if you want to Wayland at Marine Depot, who are all three of those companies, and ask them. That's the best thing I can tell you, because they are the ones that would tell you straight up.
Or everybody just reefs and let the companies do their thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We get into the bickering gossip.
I'm not interested in it.
No.
People that I know said, "Why don't you say something?" It's like, I'm not interested in even dealing with it.
Yep, exactly.
Well, like I said, I mean, I wasn't trying to cause drama or anything. Just wanted.
It's a valid question. I'm not running from the question. I gave you the answer.
Yep.
Perfect. So I can promise you this much. I have some products coming that I'm going to be testing. I am actually going to have my friend wipe his Apex, and I'm going to sit down with him and actually have him reset it all back up and walk me through everything there. So awesome. I mean, I'm going to give you guys a chance there to kind of prove that it's not nearly as scary as it had been.
All I can tell you, watch the live stream where we did it live on YouTube and Facebook. And if there's anything scary, it's taking your tech for a test drive from start to finish on a live stream. Okay, so
yeah.
And that fusion has come so far. I mean, I had the first generation Apex. The good thing about the company is they're big enough to use development to constantly improve.
Yeah.
It's something like I was an investor in several other companies that aren't around now.
Yeah.
And, it is what it is. Like, the test of time will surely show the winner, the victor.
Yes.
Well, that's with every product, though.
That's it.
But we're at an hour and a half. You've got your live stream to do and everything. So I'm not seeing any big questions coming through anymore here. So again, really appreciate you coming on. Like I said, once we dive into it and everything, we'll have to reconvene at a later date and kind of touch on some of the harder stuff, get a little more into it once we have a little more things to kind of compare and whatnot. But again, thank you for your time. Seriously, really
absolutely glad to do it, guys. It was good. And another time, maybe as we get into next year, I'll come back and we can talk more about some other stuff that's coming along.
Sounds good, man. Thank you for coming on the show,
Thank
Terence.
you.
All right, take care.
Yeah, have a good one.
And there you have it. There you have it, everybody. Straight from the horse's mouth. There is the Beavs with the tough questions. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. We got the answers. And actually going over the interface with him, there's something that you really don't even notice that you have access to, because a lot of it we really don't use. Like when he just ran through some of the prompts that are already preordained in the Fusion application, I'll tell you God's honest truth, some of that I didn't see.
Yeah.
Only because once you set it and forget it, you really do set it and forget it.
Yeah. The best thing I would say is you load it up on your computer so you see it like the big screen, and you can actually see what everything that more that offered. I find on the phone, right? You can still see it, but it's so small. If you put it on the big screen.
And the first generation of the Apex application was not as cut and paste as it is now. They have fine-tuned it over the last few years to improve it. Because I'll be the first one to say, the first time I got the Apex, I was very overwhelmed with programming it, because I got a degree in programming and computer science, but now
had an Apex Classic, and I'm like, how the hell did you even set this thing up?
That's what I got. My Apex Classic is running for almost a decade now.
Yeah.
But the fact that the Fusion still works with it,
yeah,
it is what it is.
Exactly.
So I am kind of upset, Battle. You didn't get your hat. Like I said, I'll send you a do-rag, man. I write Reef Collective on the front. Maybe we do a hello to New York on the back. I don't know.
I know, right? There's definitely some cool prizes there. It's really nice of them to, get
really nice, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is a control war. I mean, not really a war, but the market, since computers, applications, software, devices are evolving so fast, you're going to have a lot of people in the market looking to get at that chunk of the pie.
I mean, you're right, though. It is a war. I mean, Apple and Android, right? But the competition breeds innovation.
Exactly.
If nobody's doing it, right? If nobody's doing it, the prices will always stay high.
Nobody will be inventing anything. Everybody gets comfortable. It's where everyone, starts to feel the pressure. They start to innovate and keep moving forward to the future.
Well, there were a lot of complaints about support when the Apex Classic had the issues with programming. I mean, you buy it, you spend your 700, 500, whatever you spend, and then you're trying to figure out, okay, now I got it. How do I set it up? That took them into the development phase, and then they came out with the Fusion. There was no Fusion when I bought the first generation Apex.
Yeah.
So you were in there trying to figure out how to get the switches and things, but now we have it. So people coming into the market now, let's say you get into the 450, the Apex EL, and you get the beginner model of the unit, you're way ahead of us in 2 generations ago.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a lot easier than people think it's so intimidating. That's the problem. You know what I mean?
It does look to be a little bit easier. One point of concern that I saw when he was going through it, and like I said, I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to go look at it firsthand and actually walk through everything. But what I like about like the Hydros controllers, 3 steps for pretty much everything. With the Apex, I mean, you heard Terence. He said 6 steps. So it
depends on what you're doing too.
Well, I know, but that's kind of the comparison there. I mean, like the Hydros line is designed to be fast and simple there. So when I'm looking at it, I'm seeing where there are 6 steps, but really I saw where they could be kind of shrunk together and put in a little bit smaller with less pages. But I mean, realistically, no matter how you slice it, yes, the Hydros is 3 steps, but those 3 steps are those 6 steps just condensed.
But then you have people that look at the GH where they want more control, they want more functionality. I mean, like you got a guy, I got a guy, both of them programmers. We went to the show. He looked at the guy. He completely geeked out on the fact that he could develop. He could actually evolve it based on what he wanted to make it do.
A lot of people like to do that.
Like he wasn't limited by the programming. He could build on their programming. So
DHL makes a phenomenal product, but yes, it is. Oh my God. I was watching some videos on it. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, how did you figure this out? Like, what in the world?
Test pH, test water. Step 3, make coffee for me while I'm watching it. You can literally program one of the outlets to turn on the device to do this. Then I mean, it's as limited as the user.
Yeah.
And like anything else, I mean, some people want a Mercedes-Benz, some people want a Honda, some people want a Toyota. It depends on what your point of the hobby is and how you're coming into it.
Treat it all like a Ferrari and it'll love you back.
And for the record, my fish bit is still running.
Still running, everybody.
It's running here. The company's gone, the device is still running.
But that's what I'm saying. You treat it like a Ferrari. You paid the money for it, you bought it, you set it up, you played with it for a little bit, and then you kind of parked it in the garage and forgot about it.
Because I got the Apex, then I have this, then I have that. What I did forget, and I'm kicking myself, I wanted to ask him about the Home Hub integration, like Siri and Google Home, and the Smart Hub integration. I meant to ask him about that because I know it does have a limited feature as far as like Alexa.
Well, and I think he kind of touched on that a little bit with the cameras too when he was talking about end-to-end encryption and all of that stuff. Definitely a problem that is gonna have to be kind of covered and addressed in order to really be able to integrate Siri or Alexa or Google.
Well, it has Alexa feature in it now. It has Alexa feature in it.
But
I can see that right now.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. For full integration, though, there's a lot more on the security side. But yeah, you can do a lot with it.
Camera stuff. It's like with the Felix camera. Like when I'm like, say I'm fooling around with it and I need to talk to tech support, I can't really even give them my information. Everything has to be encrypted.
Yeah.
They can't just turn it on, look around your house, right?
Yeah, otherwise you had that with the Ring doorbell. Remember we had that over the holidays. People were hijacking the cameras. I know with the Apex, I set up a camera when they first came out with it, and you had to get the IP, you had to go to the manufacturer, get that, and it kind of turned me off. But now technology is evolving. We have 32, 64, 120. We have massive levels of encryption.
Yes.
Where it's almost invisible to the purchaser of the product. It's all kind of behind the scenes.
Okay. Hey, so Ryan, Cindy's got a great question for you there. Wondering what all you're running. Yeah. She wants to know you're running the Felix, Alcatronic, and the Apex.
Yeah. I got the Alcatronic. It does my, alkalinity. I do have the Trident. I haven't been using it. I just use the Alkatronic because I'm not really watching. If my my alkalinity is in check, my everything else is in check. So I just.
But now they're all standalone, right?
Yeah, the Alkatronic standalone, and it will dose alkalinity if you need it.
Mm-hmm. That's what I've been doing.
Yeah.
So you have them all as separate apps on your phone, or?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the Alkatronic has their own app, and then I think in a few weeks they're coming in with like their master app that's going to put Alkatronic in there, Dosatronic, Massatronic, Solatronic. They're all going to be in one. Yes, the Alkatronic does have its own by itself right now, but the Dosatronic is built in with the Alkatronic app. So yeah, it's a great standalone system. The Felix, I have it hooked up right now. It's running my Kalkwasser stir. I run my camera off of that one. Everything, they all do a little bit something different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my God. I cannot wait for the Mastertronic and the Solartronic. I think I'm going to buy a Solartronic just to put it on a small tank to see how it does.
Yeah, I know, it's pretty cool, right? And I can tell you guys, all the viewers and all that, the Focustronic team will be coming on the Reefing Collective, and we will be seeing the Mastertronic. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, is it really going to happen? Is it not going to happen? I can tell you it's going to happen.
I've got some.
I'm going to have one here testing it. So
I'm a hard sell just because over the years, like, okay, we're both up there 50 plus. I've seen so much hardware end up by the side of the road. Not saying anything bad about the companies, but the necessity and the application. Like either they go big in the first year of their thing, and then we end up with so much equipment that I have to be sold really hard. I have to see the company be around for a while, and see them evolve before I buy into the stuff.
Well, Focustronic's been around for a while. They're just releasing new stuff that hasn't been out for long.
Yeah, like how long's Electronic been out now? Like
a year plus a year, more than a year, right? Like more than a year, 2 years, maybe almost
like 3.
Yeah. I can tell you, it's a great piece of gear. Like that thing.
Oh,
I love it, and the Dosatronic as well. Like I Dosatronic right now, just dosing for my fresh water into my Kalkwasser, and that's I'm running on the app how many mil a day on it, and it's been very accurate. So they've been around for a while, and like the lighting looks pretty cool. That's something I would think eventually maybe one day with upgrading. Especially with Acro SPS, they're growing over. You can actually the lights will tilt, adjust even with the settings throughout the day. So. And plus what it is, all those gear, they all talk to each other.
I was actually amazed that with all the control and he being the control person, that he actually did a manual error that caused the issue in his tank.
Yeah, exactly. Man, well, that's how it goes, right? Usually it's always, a lot of time human error in this hobby.
We all do it, though. I mean, there's not a single person in this hobby that can out there that they messed up like that. Let's be honest.
I guess, yeah.
All right.
What's that?
I'm not seeing a whole lot of questions coming through here now.
Oh yeah, there's a few. There's a few here.
What have we missed? I was gonna say I don't want to get off of here just yet without addressing some of these real quick.
Yeah, I know.
Wow, Chris, that's messed up. Chris said he paid for it. He never got his fish bit. That sucks.
Oh, I saw that one. Yeah,
they went out because they went under. They actually dealt with a manufacturer overseas that actually kept the money, so they lost out.
There's one guy here. I don't know. It's a Facebook user. It's nuts with all the controllers coming out. I need to upgrade from my Reef Keeper, and I'm so lost.
But even then, the Reef Keeper has been around a long time.
Yeah.
The Reef Keeper was actually out before the Apex.
Yeah.
With the pH probe, anyway. With the pH probe, I believe.
Here's one thing I can say about it, right? We've had all the companies on for all the different controllers and stuff. All the questions have been answered about them and everything. Yeah. I think in order for us to actually answer that question, I need to get my control in. When I finally get my control in, I get it set up, I get it running.
You still haven't got the control in? Jeez.
In theory, I should have it next week. So,
yeah, if Coral View's listening, you got to get Sean his gear.
Come on, dude. He's your biggest fan, and he's not set up yet. What the heck's going on?
Put it through the test here. We're all waiting. I don't see anybody else doing it.
So my point is that once I get that in and I can actually play with it, have it set up, see what it does, deal with all the remote monitoring, all that stuff. I think we need to dedicate a show and actually cover from a user perspective, not a company perspective, not a corporate business perspective or anything, but an actual like business perspective.
That's all I look at as user.
I'm really good at being unbiased. I mean, yes, I have a little bit of a bias. Everybody has that, let's be honest. But I'm really good at being as impartial as I possibly can because of my legal background. So, like I said, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to go through the Apex stuff and all that. I wish I had access to a Felix because then I could really, dive into that. Unfortunately, nobody I know here in Colorado has one, so I can't go and do that. But I think we should dedicate a show and actually like discuss all the different ones between us with our personal experiences, just to kind of give the actual user perspective.
Like I could bring on the Felix Live here, like put the camera on it. We could go through it, different
I'll bring
things.
on the Neptune, and I'll bring on the smart home.
Yeah, like the Alcatronic too. Like, we could go live. I can put the camera on there and I can go through every possible thing I can. If people want to see that kind of stuff, if they want to learn a little bit about it.
Well, I mean,
and we'll put a poll. We'll put a poll out there. Yeah. Who would like to see go through a setup or troubleshoot or things like that? Differences in the system.
Exactly. We can jump in the Hulk's life support system room. I pretty much got everything in there. Like the only thing I don't have anymore is the Reef bot. It went on vacation.
Long walk
off
the ship here. I mean, I'm just saying. No, yeah, I mean, we can do that once I get the hydro stuff in and everything, and I get it all squared away.
Sure.
I can do a remote and walk everybody through that too.
I want to see that tank setup, man. I got to see your tank setup. Jesus,
just
a
wait.
year, bro. A year. I would be in tears looking at that tank for a year.
Yeah, I've got some really cool stuff in the works. I promise you, there's some hidden stuff that nobody knows about just yet that I've got in the works. I'm going to be doing some custom cabinetry and everything. I'm finally getting all of the pieces together. I'm going to cannibalize other tanks. I'm just saying, I'm going to cannibalize them, get that 1800 up and running. Because I know, I mean, I got the first 1800 and I still don't have it running. There are people that got their tanks like a month after I got mine and their stuff is up and running and done. And I'm just sitting here going, what was the point of me getting the first one?
Yeah, well, God forbid you set it up and now something's wrong with it. It's been sitting for a year. God forbid.
Well, it's been sitting for a year. I mean, I've only had it for like 3 months, I want to say. Roughly now. Roughly 3 months.
Oh, I thought it was December.
Mark wants to know if you got the red torch yet, Sean.
Oh. I don't want to talk about my recent tank failures today.
Mark added.
It is actually going the way things look right now. It's going to go to Texas and chill out for a little while until
Mark with the hard questions.
I know, Mark. He's dropping them tonight.
I mean, I love Mark. He just got to dig that one in. Thanks.
Candle said, "Come on, Sean."
No. Amy, it's the 1800.
No, that's the model.
It's actually basically a 200-gallon tank. So it's a big old foot tank. It's awesome. I'm running lights that nobody really knows about as far as my T5s go, which is really cool. I'm actually running the Noopsitch T5 hybrids. So cool thing about them.
What is it?
The Noopsitch.
Oh,
Noopsitch.
So the thing is all your standard T5s, like your ATIs and your what illumination or whatever and all that stuff, they're all just the flat bars, right? So this has a bracket where you mount your LEDs and whatnot, but then the T5 parts where you mount them actually move. So you can bend these wings whatever way you need them. So if you need
Tulio's gonna knock your lights out. He just showed us that.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Tulio's made those.
I love them. I wish more companies had stuff like that because the worst part is you're looking at your tank and you got that light right there and it's just coming at you, but you can angle it down just a little bit and it's not right in your face. I love it.
Yeah, the Reef light actually does those. They angle.
The Reef shows I have on my tank. I tip them. It's like people ask me, "Hey, well, how come you don't have so much?" It was like the last video there. Why does your tank look so clean? Why is there no coralline algae growing on your glass or all that? Because I have my lights pivoting. Everything is going to the rock where my corals are. I don't have my light reflecting out on the glass where it's going to grow nuisance algae on it. Maybe I clean my gas about once a week, maybe at the most. Yeah. Also,
people got to realize not every LED is the same. Some of them have reflectors, some of them don't have reflectors. Depending on how high you put those in the tank, you're going to get all kind of shadow areas.
So Chris just asked an interesting question there, asking if I'm going to run their LEDs. I I was, but I found a couple of things I didn't like about them. They're very spotlight-like. You know,
They're LEDs.
Yeah, on the LEDs. The spread just isn't that great. I mean, if you're going for a budget build and you need something to light a 20, by all means, I ran one of those with a set of shows. I was $400 into it. I promise you, I was happier with that light setup than I have ever been. I mean, I had as much par as I could possibly want, and I had the brilliant pop from the XHOs. I really liked it, but anything bigger than that, I just can't justify running the LEDs for the bigger stuff. You can. I've seen a lot of really successful tanks. There's a couple of grow-up facilities that are actually running them, and they're doing really well. I just didn't like the performance of the LEDs. Now,
the only problem is I had 8 T5s over that tank.
Did you?
It gets expensive. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Everything grew faster. No joke. Everything grew faster in my tank with the T5s because I didn't set anything. I wasn't worried about human error, whether I was setting them high enough, low enough, and you get better coverage with the T5s right out the box. I mean, without having to program anything. But it was 8 of them, and replacing those T5s gets expensive.
Yeah,
and replacing ballast gets expensive. After a while, you start looking at replacing ballast, but people are forgetting that LEDs don't last forever.
Yep. Well, and I'll say this much. As far as customer service goes, Scott has been absolutely amazing. Anytime I had any issue with anything, Scott was there, and he walked through with helping me get it all squared away. He's point blank told me, you know, if I have any issues with the ballast or whatnot, to let him know, and he'll help me get it squared away. Like, it's huge customer service there. I'm not saying anything bad about those lights. I just, you know, the LEDs weren't for me, but those hybrids, love them. But, you know, same problem. Yeah, I'm going to be running 8 bulbs because I have a 6-foot tank. I'm going to be running 2 36-inch fixtures.
That's what I have. And I still have my fixtures. I was an inch from putting them back on just to see if the difference would be apparent after a month or two, a couple of months. But
I love it. I love it. But, you know, I've been trying to go with Ecotech with a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, Ecotech's so backed up with everything.
Yeah.
You know, my plans are changing. I was going to run 4 XR30s on it, and I might switch to those XR30s. Instead, for now, I'm going to run 4 XR15s.
Well, think about the Solartronic that's coming out as well. It might be an option.
Oh, my God. I promise you, it's definitely something I'm going to be looking into.
Pretty cool. It's definitely pretty cool.
I love it.
Remember, like Tulio, he's saying, you know, maybe 5 years we get out of our LEDs, you know?
Yeah.
It's too bad.
Not for nothing.
Show, Sean, it's too bad you missed that show.
Yeah, not for nothing. It's expensive for the everyday average man to go out and buy like 4 to 5 XRs.
Yeah.
Especially if you're just not really for the seasoned hobbyist. If you're already in the hobby, then you know what you're getting. You can plan it out. For Joe Blow starting into the hobby, because there's that large margin of error where they may end up bouncing out of the hobby, and you see a lot of that stuff happening, especially now with the country being the way it is. People don't know if they can afford to even run their systems.
Right. So yeah, I mean, and that's definitely one thing where like those noobs come in handy. They reach a different price point. I mean, when you're $160 for an LED versus, you know, $400 for something, like, it's a great little entry level option. You throw in a set of XHOs for another, I think they're $140, I want to say. You've got all lighting for a 20 gallon. You crank that up, you're 40 gallons, you're 40 beams and stuff. Like, it'll light those just fine. I mean, you put your SPS in the middle and you can run your lower light corals on the sides. It's going to be great. It's a great little entry level option. Plus, those XHOs, I mean, you can change them. You can buy different brackets to put them on different light points on. They're awesome.
They're great retrofit.
Oh my God, the color pop I got from those things.
It's amazing, right?
Absolutely. Like, the pictures do not do those justice at all whatsoever. So, I mean, like, I love that setup, but I don't know. To answer Chris's question, I was talking about Scott Whitlow. He's actually the U.S. rep for Noopsage.
Oh, okay.
And yes, Cindy, 4 XR15s on the 1800. Just until I get my XR30s in. You know, I got to wait for Ecotech to get that scored away.
Mark says Tulio was awesome. Down there, practical. Yes, he was.
Tulio was. So actually, here's a great little debate. And I think we should create a poll for it.
Yeah.
I would to know what everybody thinks I should run as far as a return pump goes for my 1800. I mean, it's a 200-gallon tank. I'm at a toss-up right now between the Vectra L2, a CJ Syncra 9.0, or a Varios 8. So
what's the matter with the Vectra?
Can't get it. That's the problem. They're so backed up right now. Just can't get it.
Really?
I mean, I haven't run a CJ. I haven't seen the CJ return pump running locally.
I mean, I'm running a 6.0 on my Cade 600, so my 70-gallon that I have.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. The warning system on it, the temp sensor, the way that it's programmable and controllable, love it. But at the same time, you know, I've got access to other pumps as well. I mean, I've got that L2 coming, so it's an option, but I don't want to wait. I want to get this tank up and running. So I'm kind of curious what everybody thinks as far as the best return pumps go on that one.
I need a video on your tank, Sean. I want to see what's running on that tank back there.
Which one?
The one that's running, the other one. The one that you're migrating from to go to the 1800.
Well, if we get on and I do the hydro stuff and show the controls and everything, you'll see the whole thing. You'll see that mess. Like, it's bad. It's bad.
Are you gonna condense all your tanks into one tank, or what's your plan?
Put them together.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shut down the. Give me just 1 second. Okay, I'm getting messages here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut down my water box. Water box, if you're watching, I love your tank. I hate your stand. I'm just letting you know right now. So I'm kind of getting rid of it. I don't trust the press board kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's sort of the IKEA.
Yeah.
It just feels cheap. Now that I own a Cade and now that I have an aluminum stand for my innovative marine tanks,
Going back.
I can't do it anymore. I mean, I get if I built something myself and sealed it and actually trusted it and whatnot, great. But the stand, when I put that tank together, I was just twisting the locks on it, and that press board, if the locking part wasn't in there just perfect,
let go?
it would shift and it would like break out part of the press board, and it just
Then get water in there. Then
once it gets water and it warps, forget it. I wouldn't
Right.
put anything over 50 gallons on a press board. I'm just a scaredy cat.
I've never seen one. Is it all made out of the same? Like,
What do you mean?
like the stand wise on a water box? I've never really.
Yeah. Every single one of them, except for their new line. I don't remember the name. Like their Max line or whatever.
Yeah.
Every single one of those, it's all press board. But their Max line now, they're stepping up their game. They're coming out with aluminum stands.
Aluminum.
I promise you, and they go huge. So
XL or
The Cades
something like
already
that.
have all that, right? The Cades already have aluminum stands.
Cade is aluminum.
Cades,
Yeah. But the water box one, they've got up to like a 320 gallon now, I think, with the aluminum frame. It's an 8-foot or 9-foot tank. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'm really thinking about it. I've got a move coming up here soon, and I'm looking into buying a house. And depending on how that turns out, I may have to just bite the bullet and get one.
You see the price tag on that thing?
It ain't
Whatever.
cheap.
You can go get one built. You can get a whole SAM system built for that price. Cheaper.
Exactly.
Big time.
That's my only problem with it.
I know, but
custom tanks, man. I'm telling you.
I'm just lazy.
What is it? CRC custom tanks.
I mean, you know, and I'm not against that. It's definitely something that I'll entertain. I don't know. When I get closer to it, then I'll actually make the decision. But I was super impressed with the way that those were designed. So
For the price tag, you could build a pretty awesome.
It's funny because as soon as you go on the water box site, the first thing that comes up is financing. Before it even shows you a tank,
you're spending
the screen comes up fine. It doesn't
crazy.
show your tank. It says buy now, pay later, finance.
See, I'm trying to find it now. I don't remember what. I think it was like 10 grand, but it was like 10 grand with the lights and all that stuff.
It comes with
It
everything.
better be.
Yeah, I would for that price. Always.
It better come with a maid to clean it off too.
Yeah, the Pro Max 320.7
Too.
in white. Let's see. Okay. So, I mean, it's 7 grand for the big one.
Yeah, but $7,000, man. You can talk to a custom builder and just.
Is that the Pro Max or the Peninsula?
That's the Pro Max. That's for that 9
The Pro
foot.
Max, yeah, the Pro Max. Oh, okay, I see it here.
Mhm.
The 320.
Here's
That's the 320.
Yeah. So
Mark's like, I'd sooner build it with my 2x4s.
I'm with you, Mark.
but
I still got a daughter to put through college.
Right. But here's my argument on it, right? So it's $7,000 for something that's already built and done. But look at the price of my 1800. I mean, my 1800 is what, like $4,500 for that 6-foot tank. So comparatively, you know, you're paying an extra $1,500, but you're also getting a tank that's 3 feet longer. So it's kind of that cost balance where, you know, when you get into the higher end mass produced tanks, they're all going to cost you. Aluminum isn't cheap. Shipping isn't cheap. I mean,
aluminum is cheap.
See, like Amy said, she paid less for 600.
Aluminum is cheap. I could build it with steel. Actually, I can have it welded for cheaper than that.
My tank's welded with powder coated,
and it's straight tensile strength weld. I mean, aluminum is good. The only good thing about aluminum is it's light.
It's nice and light too.
It's light, but if you like, you're going construction wise, it's rare that they're going to use aluminum when they could use the steel.
Well, maybe when it gets a little bit closer and I decide that I'm going to pull the trigger on that, Ryan, maybe I'll have you have your guy up there put the and everything. And then
you 10 grand, we can build you a masterpiece, man.
That's
10 grand. I'd have a hell of a
literally
tank
be built like a
grand.
tank.
But what I'm saying is, you know, have him build the tank. You can bring it on down. We'll do a little build series on it. You know, do a little bit of a collab thing there. Give some people insight on
for sure.
The cross
quality is going to be like right out of the roof.
I mean, maybe that's the shipping. Does that even include shipping?
When I got my 600, it was $200 shipped from Calgary to Ottawa.
Yeah, so
I mean, I don't want to sound like this is a water box beat up or anybody.
No, not at all.
All of the companies have their overhead, but we're talking about the everyday hobbyist. You're starting with the tank, stand, sump, just right out the gate. Tank, stand, sump. Your upfront cost before you get into lighting or skimmers. They actually, with the water box, they actually will sell you the XR30s or the XR30 Pros as part of the package and finance it. But the upfront cost, you got to look at longevity. When you're building a system like that, my system's running 20 plus years on a steel stand. You know, is it old? Yes. Did I pay 10 grand for it? No. If I pay 10 grand for it, how long into the build do I get the payback?
Well, I've got to do some math now here real quick, right? Because the price difference is basically $3,800 there with the lights. So they're $850 times 4.
Yeah.
So you're $3,400. You're basically $90 a piece on each one of those. So we'll just say 100 to keep it. So 3,800. Yeah, I mean $3,800. Okay. I was just looking at that jump and I'm going, how does that make sense? Because the RMS mounts are like 90 and the lights are, you know, $450 a pop there. So
Well, the Pro Max, the 190 with the XR30 Pro stand and everything is $5,900.
$5,900
for which?
That's for the Pro Max.
The 190.
The Pro Max 190.
Yeah, I mean, and that's still going to be a 6-foot tank.
Yeah.
But that's with
with plumbing. That's with everything. That's get to your house, plug, put it together, and put water in it.
And shift.
Basically.
So, I mean,
I don't know if that's shift though. I'm assuming it's shift.
No,
that's shift. Okay.
Prices include shipping. No, that's actually a pretty competitive price when you compare that against like the Cades and the Neptunians and everything.
Yeah.
For the same size tank, like that's pretty good.
I'm really plumbing, sump, auto top off storage, and lighting.
Mm-hmm. See, I like it. I mean, there's all sorts of options, and I don't know. I mean, I'll cross that bridge when it comes. Right now, I'm just focused on the 1800. So I'd love to see, people's opinion on which return pump I should put in there. And I swear to God, if anybody says Jabel or however you pronounce it, because
we're going to
a biz.
Yeah, you get like
you can push the water from your basement to your roof.
Yeah. I got the A400. It does plenty for mine. You need the 200.
Right. So I love a biz. Don't get me wrong. It's phenomenally engineered products. They are absolutely amazing. What I like is the wallet hit.
It's expensive, man. I mean, the only good thing about the Abyss, if you're going to take the wallet hit, the Abyss, you can run everything off of that one pump. Not that many people do, but it's built to be the one pump. Everything can run off a manifold in one pump.
Yeah, that's what mine does.
Here's the problem though. You spend $800 on a pump. When it goes out, you got nothing. Or you can spend $400.
I've actually had a store owner. We were discussing that this week. His biz actually went out in the store, and he got another one. He got it replaced, but it's like anything else. It's a piece of equipment.
Oh yeah, I mean,
there's like a 10-year warranty on there.
Yeah, they replaced it.
Yeah, I have a backup, and if it does go to hell, I'm just going to call the company.
See, I've got a slush fund. I take every piece of equipment I have that I buy, and I break the cost of it up over 5 years, and then I have a monthly amount, and I take that monthly amount and I put that away every single month. So as it breaks, I've got the money set aside for it. I just include that in my expenses, and it sucks, and it adds up real fast when you run the kind of gear I do. But I've got it.
Steve said J-Bow.
Yeah, no, not a chance.
Good old Steve.
Well, you guys are all gonna cry because I'm gonna tell you I got a Mag 6 running my tank for a whole lot of decades. Decades.
Those things are
but they don't even make the equipment like they made it in a certain period. Everything is not what it used to be.
Well,
like some people have the those big big outdoor pumps that run ponds, running like fish rooms. Then you're not gonna use like a little, like a Seche pump to run like a fish room. This guy has one pump running a bank of 12 tanks, like 6 on the top, 6 on the bottom, running off of one pump. He's got a big pump.
Well, Jerry's here says he installed 3 A1200s, runs through 6-inch lines.
6-inch lines. So he's like the city of New York.
He said 1200, sorry, extra 0.
Oh. Housekeeping.
I know, right? Closed loop. We just all.
Ew. No. I love closed loop, but you got to run a separate pump for it generally.
I did no closed loop on this one.
I'm in my next build. I'm seriously considering a closed loop only because I don't want any other pumps in the tank.
Yeah.
I don't want any, like, I'm thinking about the pros and the cons. Only thing with a closed loop, let's say a seal fails or something, then you're kind of in a mess, but I don't want anything in the tank. So I'm thinking have the returns, have the flex, the closed loop. I don't have to worry about MP40s. I don't have to any hardware, anything inside or outside of the tank. Yeah. And no heat in the tank.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick though, just to kind of get back into this, we've kind of beat the hell out of controllers. We still need to get Tom on. We still need to give Felix their shot.
Yeah. It's coming up.
Okay. And we need to do one more episode after I get all the control stuff together and get it running and everything, just kind of going over some of this. If people want to see user setups or whatnot, I mean, we can do that. We're going to probably have to plan for a fairly long show there. But I'm just saying, we can do all of that stuff there. Let us know what you want. If you have any ideas for any stuff, let us know. I mean, we've always got new stuff that we're working on ourselves, like the Focustronic bomb getting dropped today. We've always got
if you guys want to see any of the gear that we use, like, if we want to do live with the Alcatronic stuff, we can go through that. Like myself and Sean both run one of them.
Right. Just let us know this stuff.
You want the DIY route? I'm your man.
Yeah, D's the guy. Because there's the Diatronic coming out, the Diatronic.
Diatronic.
We need to do that so that we can.
Me with an apron like this.
Yeah, we can show a bit of our gear and what we do every day.
Yeah, I mean,
if everybody wants that, you let us know.
Yeah, I mean, we're hobbyists just like everybody else. We all have our pitfalls and our successes and whatnot. I mean, I hate showing it, but I will. I'll get past that. So just let us know. I mean, hell, if I need to do a live from my office one day and show people the office setup and how I've got that running, like, I will. Just let us know. Like, we're here for you guys. I mean, yes, we're learning and we're going through our experiences and everything, but at the end of the day, we're just here to help everybody out. So
exactly. Just have a good time and learn.
Yeah, let us know. And
I got tons of footage of me just building sumps, building fixtures. So you can go back to my channel and see it from like day one.
Hey, sorry, I'm still fighting this dang cold.
It's not COVID. He's good. He's all right.
Yeah, it's not COVID. It really is legitimately just a cold. It's been quarantined for the last like 6 months. I promise. It's disturbing. But no. So, big thing, again, just let us know what you guys want there. Now we've kind of dropped what the next couple of weeks are going to be as far as getting all of that stuff all worked out there. But I'm really excited. So we've got some good stuff, but let us know what you want to know. We can sneak some stuff in there, kind of break up some of this controller stuff. Because, again, we still have 2 more weeks of being able to focus on that. And if we need to break it up a week or so or whatnot to cover something that's more important to you guys, just let us know.
We should actually, as the holidays are coming over, we should probably look at what do we want for Christmas? What's going to be the gift ideas? What's going to be the go-to gift for the hubby, the spouse, the wife? Yes, for our lady reefers and hobbyists out there, there's some heavy duty. Shout out to the lady reefers out there.
Yep.
What's the go-to gift? What's that? Vectra? Is it a Biz? Is it what's that gift? Is it a tank? Maybe I want an 18. Maybe I want an 1800. Honey, if you're listening,
asked me what I wanted. I don't even know what to tell her.
What do you get the man that has everything?
Right, Ryan, that's your problem. I know what I want. I want a Mastertronic, so they can hurry up and drop.
Well, that'd be cool to use right now.
I need a Mastertronic and a Solartronic. Didn't somebody put a post up? Speaking of Mastertronic, didn't somebody put a post in your group today?
Probably me.
You're not funny.
Right? It was the one. Which one?
My wife just says, "Oh, Petco has $1 per gallon sale." You're not funny. Son.
Which post was it?
It was with the Mastertronic that was unpainted and involved food. I just kind of.
That was Jonas. Yeah.
So I mean, it's getting closer.
Yeah. Did you see the one I posted of it? How it's cleaning itself and everything?
No, I didn't see that. I'm gonna go look.
See that one? Yeah.
I'm gonna go talk.
Come on, you're taking all the fun out of the hobby. If it's doing everything, what are you doing? Just walk past?
I work too much.
Come on. The fish, they want to know who you are. The fish, like, well, we haven't seen that guy in a long time.
It happens because I've walked into my fish room like, what am I gonna do?
You use the auto feeder, Ryan?
What's that?
You use the auto feeder? I was using it and I took it off.
Did you?
Yeah, because it felt like it was. Nah, it wasn't that. It just felt like I had that moment where the fish come to you, they recognize you. I wasn't getting it. Just felt funny. And then I like to feed a lot of different kind of foods.
Yeah,
and I was trying to. Do I put two? I have 2 feeders now. I was thinking of putting another one so we could feed one thing one day. It's just you know.
It's mine. It's because I just want to tell Alexa to feed it. No, I have it. It's just I have it just in case I do need it one day. You know what I mean?
For traveling is why I bought.
Like start going down to the shows again. You know, and I could just feed from there.
Dude, I love the camera. I'm at work looking at that camera all day. I got to tell you, the one toy that I'm really playing with this week is that camera.
Yep. Because
I got 6 just here. There's 8 tanks down here. I got 6. I'm not married to one controller. I can turn it and look at the planted tank. I can look at the reef tank.
Yep.
So I really want to get in. I'm really looking for the hydros to win. I want the hydros for the win because I want one controller to run all, like, at least multiple tanks.
Well, give me 2 weeks. Right?
2 weeks.
Steve's like, my wife wants me to buy more corals for Christmas. I'm sure of it. Steve, I just got, if you guys seen that post, I got a big shipment of corals, acro corals. That's where I got it from Niagara Falls. Fire corals. Yeah, that's where I got my Walt Disney, Princess Peach.
I wish I knew they were there. I was just at Niagara Falls before this whole pandemic, and I would have damn sure been shopping for coral.
Right? Yeah, but
I would have left the family.
Corals there.
Yeah, we can't bring them back.
Corals. I got some new fishes. Definitely some good content going to be coming out here pretty soon. I'm super psyched. We've got a lot of really good stuff coming up here soon. So again, reverting back, guys, there is no dumb question. Ask stuff. Let us know what you want to know because we'll dig into it. If we don't know, we will find someone who does.
Exactly.
And I'm putting a lot of polls. Out there. So if you guys have not seen the polls that are hitting the Farm Boy Reef, Steve from Brooklyn, or Brooklyn, I'm putting polls all over the place. So we want to hear your requests.
Exactly.
Right? Be active. That's a big thing. Be active in those polls because the more active you guys are with them, the better we can respond and help get you guys the information that you want.
Well, exactly. And it's just like the contest. So, I know it was a little bit short notice, but I put it in this morning. It was, to win all that, the Neptune stuff. People need I told people what to do. They need to do it if they want to win some of this cool stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's good stuff. That's some great stuff that he gave away.
Hey guys.
He gave away free flow sensor.
And then I get people later, they're like, oh, I want to enter the contest. We've seen it. Well, you should have entered into it if you want to win this stuff. You know what I mean?
Because then we're trying to grab your names in the last like 5 seconds of the show.
Exactly.
It's like,
that's the thing. And to get everybody's name into the, the name picker or whatever, it takes time. So that's why I had to close down the comments to get everybody in there. Plus, those people followed the rules tonight. That's why they win. So make sure and watch out there in social media world to get in on the contest. If you're not in the club, the Farm Boy Reef Club, get in there. So, we run some contests. Somebody's going to win something.
Hit that thumbs up too. If you guys haven't hit it after the hour and a half, you better hit it now. Your thumb's getting tired. It's getting lazy. Hit that button before you go to bed.
Exactly. Subscribe to all our channels. Would be awesome. Greatly appreciated as well. So
BeavsReef
content.
Farm Boy Reef. Deep in Brooklyn.
Oh yeah, I thought you left me out last week though. I did catch that. D.
What are you talking about? I shouted you out.
He did. He always shouts you out.
I always shout you out. We were like saying a prayer. Look, let that cop get that ticket and tear it up.
Yeah,
we were like,
tear it up for him.
We were literally like, oh, he's on his way, everybody.
I mean, it happened. It happened. It turned out well in the end. Unfortunately, I missed Terence. Or not Terence.
The show kept going on.
I missed Julio. My God, I'm just saying. I really want to get back on though, because
he was really
I want
great.
to get some props and talk about some stuff.
And
so,
the thing is, a lot of people learned from that episode.
Oh, I learned.
That
we
was
don't
short.
Think about, yeah.
And I mean, he didn't even really get into a lot of the stuff with, per and par, and like
he actually did.
He did. He hit it.
He did.
They were touched on, but they weren't really delved into.
Well, the thing about Tulio, he tries to keep it not science-y, so that like layman's terms, because he can go way over the deep end.
Mm. Oh yeah,
when
it comes to lighting. When
he spoke at our club, we were taking the lights down out of the place. I mean, he goes in like, this is it. This is the rating on the bulb. This is what you're gonna see. He can go really into it. He's really experienced in that.
So the XHOs are the smaller ones. What are the bigger long lights? I can never remember the line.
The smaller ones, or are you talking about the bigger ones? The bigger ones are the XHOs. You talking about the SHOs? The old
they make it to like an 8-foot fixture if you want.
You can do those
He can do it. He can do it whatever size you want.
The only thing it's the shipping that hurts.
Yeah, the shipping they risk getting damaged in shipping
because they're 8 feet long.
I'm gonna have to look into the.
He makes a 6-foot fixture.
Before I stick my foot into my mouth here, but my ideal lighting situation for this 1800 would definitely be 6-foot long strips, two of them in the XHOs, along with mounting brackets for the electronics.
They come with a bracket, Sean, and it's really affordable. I'm already in ordering one for my system now. 6-foot fixture.
There you go.
I never knew that they made. Using 2-3 foots all these years, whether you could just have the 6 foot.
But it make up to 8 feet.
But the only thing, now here's the drawback, Sean. 2 3-foot fixtures, you can put them on varying angles. Now you don't know where you're going to place your You say that now, but you don't know. You don't know.
Out for the lighting.
Yeah, but you don't know how you're going to have your corals grow out, and you're not sure how you're going to place it until the rock's in the tank. You might want to angle. You might want to angle one a little over where one is straight down. You don't know.
Nah. See, that's I'm all about symmetry, so they've got to line up right. But that's where the Solartronic comes in because it shifts.
Solartronic.
Yep.
Yeah. I've thought about it. I've thought about this. All right.
We're running way into the wee hours.
2 hours
of the night.
2 hours tonight.
I want to thank you guys for watching and putting up with my fake Irish accent.
Oh God.
Oh jeez.
At least I didn't pop the sock out.
That's true. We got to break.
Well, I'm just gonna say thanks to everybody that showed up tonight. Thanks, Terence, for being our special guest. We learned a lot. And thanks for taking everybody's questions. Dee or Sean, you got anything else you want to say before we head out?
Before we head out, I want to give it, and I always say this at every show. Thank you, our producer, Dina. Shout out Farm Boy Reef. She's doing a lot of the behind the scenes, and got to give credit where credit is due, because without her, it's a lot to manage. So thank you. Shout out to the producer.
Thanks, Dina.
Right. No, all I've got is thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Glad you came, learned some stuff. Listen to us kind of just shoot the breeze for a minute. Stay active. Let us know what you want. Have a great week. Be safe. Don't catch COVID. Nobody wants to Rona. And
Yeah.
Don't do that.
we'll see you next week, right?
Yep. All right. Have a good night, guys.
See ya.